Is it clear to you that ACES was a mistake?
That's a good question. I'm not prepared to answer that question. I think that let me answer it this way. One of the independents I talked to actually credited ACES for the development in the Cook Inlet.
So you think?
So they saw ACES as actually a success story.
So you believe ACES was a good policy?
They credited ACES.
But I'm asking you.
I'm not in a position where I can actually answer that directly.
Well,
I'm not being evasive. I think in the Cook Inlet, at least if you were to believe what the independents said about it, it was a positive.
So why wouldn't you answer that question?
Because I don't have enough information to answer the question.
The issue of ACES and whether it was successful has been debated ad nauseum in the state, and just about every Alaskan has an opinion either way about it. Why would you not take an opinion on that?
Because from my perspective, Dan, I think what's before the voters right now is whether or not we stay with the repeal. It doesn't have anything to do with ACES at this point. It's about whether or not the legislature made a right decision and whether or not the people should be involved in changing tax policy. And my position on it, based upon, again, the desire of the independents to have a consistent tax policy. That's basically their reason for it. They're saying, look, we can't go about willy-nilly changing the tax regime when we've planned in our operations for certain taxes. And they've said, we want this consistent regime. I don't think it advances the debate to find out whether or not what the legislature did was a good decision or a bad decision. I don't think they probably had full information when the decision was made.
But
my decision right now, and let me add this too, Dan, because from a perspective of somebody that's running for federal office, this is a state question that demands the people of the state to create an answer to.
I understand, but
based upon the initiative process.
As we debate who's the most conservative, because that's really what this primary is about, and yet it seems to me, almost aligning yourself more with Bill Wielechowski and Hollis French and the anti-oil populist crowd, because you're not. Most conservatives would.
Where's Hollis and Bill at on this? Are they voting yes or no?
Oh, they're absolutely voting yes.
Okay, so how do you put me in that camp?
Well, because
I guess I'm having trouble with that.
I'm not hearing a rejection of ACES, which most conservatives.
What is before the state right now is a Prop
I know, but
one
we're
vote.
talking about ACES, and most conservatives in the state resoundingly would say ACES was a horrid policy, high taxes, punitive to the producers, and frankly killed millions of dollars in investment in jobs. And yet you're not even answering the question about it. Really, you're saying I'm not taking a position, but I think it really worked in some ways.
Who was the first person to endorse a fair tax in this race? That was me. Okay, I'm against corporate.
We're talking about ACEs.
No, we're talking about who's the most conservative.
Yeah, but ACEs, your opinion on ACEs, I think is relevant to your conservative credentials, because to me, ACES is the worst piece of legislation in the history of Alaska.
So would you like to have no taxes or some taxes? My position on taxes, corporate income taxes ought to go. I'm a fair tax advocate. I think it would create more economic activity in this state than none other. So from my perspective, I don't think anybody has the conservative credentials better than I do. Within this state, again, I think that the future of the state is incentivizing independence. I've made my decision on what my decision is on the proposition that is before the voters. That's what's there now. And that's my decision, and I think it reflects where I stand on the issue.
We're talking to Joe Miller. We'll take your calls for him next, 569-1080, 569-1080. Out in the Valley, 357-5868, 357-5868. 7:29 is the time.